Star Wars, The Last Jedi. Yeah. Oh, look at how serious that sounded. Star Wars, The Last Jedi. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, so exciting. Oh, look at this guy reviewing a movie that's 4 months old. Oh, how up with the times he is. Why? Well, damn it! I didn't get a chance to watch it until now. I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. I try to see every Star Wars movie as soon like in theaters, but it didn't work out for the last three that have come out. Well, actually, I'm not going to count Rogue One here. I mean, that's just an adaptation of an opening crawl. I like that movie, but it's. I mean, it's all about the trilogy of trilogies here, and this is the second installment in the third trilogy. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the second to last real Star Wars movie. After Episode 9, it's all just like okay, oversaturated. It could be even great. Yeah, it's oversaturated, and but he makes good movies, but it's oversaturated. You just make these movies forever. Okay, good on you, Disney. Make that money. Make that money. All right. So, like before I begin, before I get into my thoughts and opinions about this film, I just want to say this is like the first episode of what I like of a new series I'm gonna do. Fresh views, where I watch a movie for the first time, and then I just talk about it for I don't even know how long. Like, I should probably cut this down to like maybe, I'm not gonna just talk about the movie for a minute, maybe not 2 minutes. I'm doing maybe 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. I'll talk about this movie. And I don't think anyone is doing this right now. Or on YouTube reviewing movies on YouTube. I don't think anyone is doing it. This is really original. This thing I'm doing right now. Oh, wait, no. Oh wait, everyone's doing that. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Yeah, I'm doing movie reviews online. There we go. Look at me doing movie reviews. Oh, look at what a pioneer I am. I'm doing movie reviews on YouTube. No way. No way. But yes, I'm doing it. And the first installment is going to be about The Last Jedi. And what can I say about The Last Jedi that hasn't already been said by millions upon millions of fanboys who've seen the movie and hated it, others that saw it and thought it was pretty good? Like what can I say? What can I add to the discussion here? I don't know. I guess I just have to reach out with my feelings. Can't whistle. Let me try again. Fuck! Can't whistle. Let me try. Let me just kind of blow outward then. Damn it! I'm not talented. I hate not being talented, guys. But enough is enough. Enough self-loathing. Let's get into this movie. Let's talk about it. But before I talk about this particular movie, let's talk about Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Um, and I didn't see that when it came out in theaters either. Uh, so I just didn't. I didn't get a chance to. So I saw that about 4 months after it came out, same as this one. And when I finally got around to watching it, I didn't really know that much about it. I knew that Han Solo died at the end of The Force Awakens, but how he died, what circumstances, I didn't know. It wasn't like this with The Last Jedi. I knew everything about the movie long before I actually saw it because I knew I wasn't going to be able to see it in theaters. So I was like, oh, the suspense is gonna kill me. I gotta know what happens. So I spoiled the movie for myself like a couple days before it even came out because people were talking about it online and stuff. And if you follow the media, the mainstream media, um, opinion is divided on this particular installment of the franchise, to say the least. It's very polarizing to a lot of people, and I I could understand why. I can understand where their criticisms were coming from, but I hadn't actually seen the execution of of what they were talking about. And it really doesn't matter if you know everything that's going to happen in a movie. It's the execution that matters. And after having seen the Last Jedi finally, I just don't know what the hell everyone's talking about. I don't know what the big fuss is about. This is actually really good. I loved it. It was really, really good. Um, and it's like I have so much to say about this, but like there's nothing I can really say specifically, you know. And it's like I just don't want to say a variation of like things that people said before, because I was really good about like even though people were talking shit like crazy about this movie, I didn't want it to sway my own opinion of the movie. So it's like it's something that I'm kind of struggling with, you know. It's like I watched it and I liked it. I thought it was very well executed. Even the parts that people said sucked, I thought was very well done. Um, like the whole thing, like you know, the big picture. Looking at the big picture instead of taking out the little nitpicky things, it's a solid, solid movie. It's really good. Now, why? Why do I think it's really good? Um, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really draw attention to itself. You know, like unlike you know how J.J. Abrams in Force Awakens, he used lens flare, albeit sparingly, but that's like his trademark. Of course, you're gonna have lens flare in there somewhere. With Ryan Johnson, there's no real, not that I've noticed. I've seen all his movies except Brothers Bloom, but there's no real distinction of his style. He's just a really good filmmaker, and it shows here. Just like it's just a beautifully composed movie, like shot wise, it just looks beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. It's probably the one of the best looking films in the Star Wars series. But it's really hard to separate myself from the whole politicization. How do you say that word? They made Star Wars political. It's like kind of like a feminist statement with Rey and you know Admiral Holdo and all that. So but when you actually sit down, yeah, you can think about that stuff after the movie, and then you can analyze and nitpick and deconstruct all you want. But when you actually, at least for me, when I actually sat down to watch the movie, all that shit went right out the window. It went out the window. I was just like, I was back in the Star Wars universe. This was amazing. And I got a similar feeling from The Force Awakens, um, but not that much. But here, I really got it. I was like really into it because there's not as much world building in this. It's more like just picking up where it left off. And I don't know. I dug it. I really dug it. It's like, what more can I say other than that? I mean, like, I just don't know what people were expecting from this. Like, the only assumption is because people were speculating for years, you know, since Force Awakens came out, for 2 years, people were wondering what the hell was Luke going to do with his lightsaber. And, you know, in Force Awakens, Rey hands it to him and he tosses it over his shoulder. I'm not really going to get into the nitty gritty of the specifics of a story, you know, like, or the plot or anything like that, um, unless there was something specific about the plot that really jarred me. But there was really nothing in the movie that made me say, "Oh, this is terrible. Why do they do this? This is ridiculous. Why?" And I had those moments in the prequels, but there were so many other moments in the prequels that I really liked that it kind of canceled out the stuff that made me go, There was nothing really cringeworthy. Not even, like, a lot of hate's been spilled on the whole Rose and Finn subplot about how pointless it was. But they go to the casino pilot and have to get a hacker, and then they got to go all the way back to their ship, and then or they got to go to the Star Destroyer, and like some like they have to like they, I don't even know. I can't even describe the plot. It's a very basic plot, and it's excuse me, I got a cough. Ah, mother. Nah, don't like doing that in the middle of the show. Don't like doing it. But yeah. So Rose and Finn. Rose is a new character, and the character's not horrible. She's competent. The actress who plays her is competent. It's a very competent storyline. There's nothing to write home about. It's definitely the most boring part of the movie. And everything around it is just so great. You know, it's really great. Um, uh, but that's as far as that subplot. Yeah, I kind of zoned out during the whole race sequence, and it was like really. I mean, it was what it was. You know, it was just like, was it the worst sequence in a Star Wars film to date? I don't know. That the love subplot between Padme and Anakin and Attack of the Clones, I think, takes the prize on that one. It's probably the weakest subplot. It was a necessary subplot, but the weakest one. And there was nothing really necessary about this subplot. But did that make it horrible? Maybe in retrospect. I mean, in retrospect, it's like very empty. But as it's going on, it's like, okay, this is just part of the movie. And it's really just basic story structure. Really, it's like, okay, it's like there's a situation, there's a problem, you gotta solve it. Okay, we have a solution. Oh, the solution fails. That's basic storytelling. And so, because the general consensus is because that approach fails, it doesn't lead to anything, that it's just bad storytelling. No, it's a failed approach. Every story has like a failed approach. Every adventure story that attempts to solve a problem, there is a failed approach. The fact that it involves supporting characters instead of the protagonists may have kind of like made it separate, made it feel separate from the actual main storyline. But it didn't really take me out of it. I mean, I kind of zoned out during that bit a little. Uh, and I really don't know what the hell was up with Benicio del Toro's voice in the movie. I mean, I liked his character okay, but he didn't pull a Lando Calrissian. You kind of expected him to pull a Lando Calrissian. Yeah, I betrayed you, but it's okay now. But he really turns the tables on Rose and Finn, and he doesn't redeem himself, and it's doubtful he'll even return in Episode 9. It's like he's just there and he fucks him over because that's just how he works. He's like good guys, bad guys. He's like Rick Sanchez, essentially. He's the Rick Sanchez of the Star Wars universe. He's like, there's good and bad are abstract concepts, and that's Benicio del Toro's character. That's what he represents, the duplicity of man, I guess, if you want to dig deeper into it. And I don't. When it comes to Star Wars, I don't like digging deeper like that. It's more about the spectacle to me, and it has that in spades. It has it in spades. Um, and what I really liked about the movie is that I realized what this whole particular trilogy is about. It's not about Rey. It's kind of about Ben Solo, but at the same time, it's not really about any of them. It's about the Force itself. The Force is the protagonist in the Last Jedi, and in retrospect, the Force is the protagonist in the Force Awakens. I mean, it's in the title, The Force Awakens. It's like I speculated. I thought it was going to be confirmed in the Last Jedi, but it totally wasn't. I thought because the events of The Force Awakens were so much like the events in A New Hope. It was like a carbon copy of the original film. I thought it was like Luke referencing his past to manipulate the present in the only way he knew how to get these characters together. But turns out Luke didn't know anything about what was going on. It was complete opposite here. And so that's the subversion of expectations. And I think that's what a lot of fans didn't really grinded their gears, like, oh, my fan theories weren't correct. And I tip my hat to the filmmakers that they didn't bow down to any fan theories. They probably poured through hundreds upon thousands of fan theories about where it could go. And it's like, okay, you see all this? We're not going anywhere near this stuff at all. We're not bowing down to the fanboys and their fan theories. We're not doing it. And I gotta respect that. It's like, you gotta be true to the spirit of the story you're trying to tell, and you can't let any fans, where they think they could go, you know, you can't let their predictions get in the way of that. And I'm like, when I heard, about what happens in the movie, I'm like, oh, that's dumb. Snoke dies. That's, without a backstory. And I'm like, well, he doesn't really need one. You know enough about everyone to know it doesn't necessitate a backstory. Maybe if Luke had more of this version of Luke, the 30 years older Luke, if he had more of a backstory, It would explain more of his motivations about why he attempted to kill his own nephew in the Jedi Temple, But there's a lot about Luke in the past 30 years that wasn't even revealed in here, and it probably won't be revealed. But you can go into the expanded universe, which is technically not canon, but you can go and expand the universe of books where, Luke had a wife and he had kids and they died. So you could, if you reference the expanded universe, and the movie itself doesn't have to reflect on it, but you as a fan if you know the expanded universe and you know that he got married and had a kid and that they died, it would understand why he was such a broken man when he was training Ben. You know, so it's more understandable for him to pull the lightsaber out because he was a broken man, like when he was training the Jedi, and he failed. He failed as a Jedi Master, and it was Leia's dumbass fault for letting him do it in the first place. But they reunited and everything was okay. But yeah, spoiler alert: Luke dies, I guess, or becomes one with the Force. It's not really, he fades away. But, Yoda faded away, and Yoda came back in this one, so you expect to see Luke as a Force ghost in Episode 9. I'd be very surprised if we didn't see that. But, it was pretty good. I mean, don't listen to the hate. Don't listen to haters. I was kind of like going with the haters because I like the memes. I really like the hate that of the Last Jedi memes, because some of them are really funny. But I have to err on the side of the critical consensus that 90 some odd% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm with that. I mean, I really liked the movie. It wasn't the best movie of 2017. No, it wasn't. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think Thor Ragnarok was a better movie. It was more fun. And so was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, maybe to a lesser extent. But as a Star Wars movie, it felt like it was true to the lineage. It felt like it was true to lineage. And I don't know what people really are expecting from a Star Wars movie anymore, based on what happens here, and it was all so good, you know? But all you can really ask for from these movies is, was it good, and is it worth watching again? And yes, on both counts. I'm probably going to watch this again and again. I loved it. I liked it a lot more in The Force Awakens. And did deliver on the promise of The Force Awakens. A lot of people say, oh, they just built up all this stuff in The Force Awakens, and now it's they just threw it away for The Last Jedi. I mean, I don't really see it that way. Because because from a certain point of view, yes, from a certain point of view, if you just look at this trilogy, about it being about the Force. It's about the Force. It's not, because Luke didn't manipulate the events of The Force Awakens. The Force manipulated the events of The Force Awakens. That's how Rey and Finn found the Millennium Falcon, and everything was so convenient because the Force was working with them. But it's not really working with them that much anymore because there's resistance. There's a light and a dark and all that stuff, and it gets more complicated here. And I just really liked it. That's a really interesting dimension that no one, I don't think, even really mentioned in any of the reviews and any of the shit talking I've seen online. Nothing really touches on the fact that this trilogy is about the Force. The ending of this movie proves that's about the Force. It just goes back to that stable boy from the casino planet, and he just picks up the broom with the Force like nothing. So it's like what Luke says in the middle of the movie. It's like, the Force isn't limited to the Jedi. It's like it belongs to everyone. And so there might be some more complexity, and I hope there's some more complexity in Episode 3, but with J.J. Abrams coming back for this installment, I'm not so sure. But based on the execution of this movie, I have faith that it'll go where it needs to go in the right direction, and I'm very interested to see how Kylo Ren ends up. It's like I just don't know where it's going. And what this movie gave me, as opposed to The Force Awakens, it gave me closure. There's some closure in this movie. Oh, thank you for some closure, my God. And I thought it was just going to be open-ended. There was a lot of unanswered questions, and there are probably questions that are not going to be answered in Episode 9, so if you have any unanswered questions, they're going to remain unanswered, probably. But, apart from just the experience as a whole, I got the closure I needed. It was fun. I'll be watching it again and again throughout years to come, you know? And I'm looking forward to episode 9. So, I don't know. Should I, like, I'm thinking, like, maybe I should do a star rating here. Like, a star rating system here. But no, it's ratings are unnecessary here, but if I had to give a star rating, I'd give it a solid 3.5 stars out of 4. Solid 3.5. Maybe it's touching 4. An A minus, an 8.5 maybe on the Murphy scale. I don't know which ranking system to use. Maybe I'll come up with a more unique one as the series runs on. But I don't really have that much more to say about it. All I can say is I hope I can catch episode 9 in theaters when it comes out, if I get the opportunity. Um, and I hope the next Star Wars movie, the spin-off movie, Solo, doesn't suck. I hope it doesn't suck. Um, because this didn't suck. I guess The Force Awakens set the bar a little low, so it was easier to meet my limited expectations, but that's like, I wish I was younger. I think if I was younger, I would have liked this movie a hell of a lot more. And I would have been singing my praises even louder than I am now. But objectively speaking, it's a better film than The Force Awakens, and it's probably the best film in the Star Wars saga, objectively speaking, since Return of the Jedi. Subjectively speaking, I mean, there's a special place in my heart for the prequels, but those movies like defined certain eras of my life, and these are kind of doing the same thing, but not in the same extent. It's like I can chart my love of movies from the first Star Wars trilogy to this Star Wars trilogy, and it's like a trajectory of growth. It's like, okay, well, I saw the first Star Wars trilogy as a kid. And then I saw the prequel trilogy as a teenager, going into adulthood. Um, and now I'm a full-on adult, and this new trilogy's coming out, and it's humbling. And that's all I can say. These new movies are humbling, and if you could just block out the political bullshit, the political arguments surrounding the Force Awakens or Last Jedi, the Last Jedi and Force Awakens is also there, but more so with Last Jedi. Um, if you could just like shut out all the negative criticism and just watch the movie, you know, with an open mind, which I did, and I enjoyed what I saw. So give it a 8.5 on the Murphy scale for now. All right, yeah, that's like we'll do the 1 to 10 thing. Let's go. Yeah, so 8.5 for this. Yeah, so Star Wars Episode 8, Last Jedi, 3.5 stars, 8.5, A minus. All right, all right, that's enough of that. All right, guys. That's the first episode of Fresh Views. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back with the next review, which will be something I don't know what. Maybe Shape of Water. I don't know. Haven't gotten around to it. We'll see.